When you look at Australia's economy and the country's needs, say a year or two from now, post-pandemic, are there new or different challenges we're all going to need to talk about? Is the role of technology going to need to adapt in any particular way to help support that?
The short answer is yes, but the short answer to that question is always yes, I think, regardless of what's occurred. During the pandemic, our digital pathway just accelerated like most, I think, advanced economies around the world. There'd always been a bit of a resistance, not through anything other than people were comfortable with the way, they were doing their books, the way they were invoicing, the way they were talking to their customers. There was a familiarity to do that, particularly in the SME sector. Enter COVID. The only way you can talk to people then is on a digital platform. And so businesses, radically changed their business models overnight to survive. And that has caused an innovation in the application of technology to so many businesses in Australia and really given us a very strong leap forward in this space. Similarly for consumers. The amount of retail and so on, which is now being done through parcels and post, in the United States, that's already been happening for some time. But that really has come on very strongly here. And so, the role of big distribution centres and the technology that support those and how that feeds in, operating in real time. And, the competition is now on is how quickly can you get it from, the click to the front door. That's all happening now in Australia. And that's, I think, good for our economy because it's challenging our economy and our business models. Then you've got the consumer interface with this. One of the disturbing and distressing parts of the pandemic is because all of our kids have been online, doing school and frankly just catching up with their friends and doing all of those sorts of things. The presence of criminal behaviour online and predators and all of this actually is accelerated also. The crooks are just as good as applying technology as anyone else. And we've seen that in this country, as we've seen it in all countries. And that's why our regulatory systems and our protection systems really have to kick in and go to a whole nother level. And that's where I do really appeal to the digital platforms and the sector themselves. We remember after Christchurch, the terrible events there with the massacre. And I took a proposal to the G20 following that, and of course there was the Christchurch call led by Prime Minister Ardern together with President Macron, and the digital platforms have responded to that. And they do have the technological capabilities, I think, to prevent the digital platforms, the internet being used as a weapon for terrorists, but we need to now make sure that it's not being used as a tool for people to harass people, to exploit people, to intimidate people. We're seeing this more and more, the impact on the mental health of our young people through cyberbullying and cyber abuse. And there are two key issues here, I think. The first one is to recognise that, digital platforms are publishers. And the second one is free speech only works in a free society where there is an anonymity. Free speech isn't about to say whatever you want and not be accountable for it. That's the whole point of free speech. So if you like in our country, but you're accountable for what you say. And we can't have digital platforms providing a shield for people to engage in online abuse, because if we allow that to happen, digital platforms will not be a safe space for consumers, for our children. We won't get the right outcomes on it, on education and skills development and the broader, commercial opportunities that are there. So we all have to work, I think, even more closely together to make the digital world safe. And that's not just about hacking and cybersecurity. That's about the interactions of people online. And we don't think those rules are tough enough. And we are moving forward on that. Online privacy for young people. Young people, particularly children, shouldn't be able to have their data used in such a way where they can be targeted. And we all know how the algorithms work. Adults are different. Kids need protection. So they're the challenges I think we have, to have an environment that keeps the world safe online, just like, as I started out saying, they're the rules that exist in the real world. They should exist online too.